I promised myself I'd take a day off of this Karen Reed stuff, but oh no, could I do that? Nope. Some things are bugging me, and I thought I'd put together a timeline. And there are things that don't make sense, and I'm not done yet. One of the things bothering me is the times and vehicles in relation to this whole thing, and in relation to Brian Higgins. And I'm not saying I have answers either. I thought I'd throw this out there. Maybe you have ideas or you can fill in some blanks. I've already explained why I don't believe Nicole, Caitlin, and Brian Albert all went home in the same vehicle. That is based on glaring inconsistencies in their own testimonies. While I was going over previous testimony, trying to work out logistics in vehicles, I realized they were lying about how they got to the waterfall. Nicole testified Julie Albert picked her up, and when she got to the waterfall, Tristan and Caitlin were already there. But there's a lie in here. You see, Julie Levinson was at Fairview, and she testified she saw Julie Albert, Nicole Albert, and Caitlin Albert. Levinson has no reason to lie. Could she be mistaken? Sure, but I don't think she was, and we're going to get there. Caitlin testified, if I recall, we drove straight from Easton to the waterfall, referring to herself and her boyfriend Tristan, except she was at Fairview. Tristan met her at the waterfall. Tristan testified it was an ordinary day for him. He went out and he went and met them for a drink. Lally asked, who is them? And that's when Tristan got amnesia. He said, my girlfriend, and that's all I remember. But he testified he met them at the waterfall. He didn't meet them at Fairview. Why is who drove to the waterfall with whom important enough to lie about? By the way, on the screen is dash cam video. Can you identify the make and model of the vehicles in the driveway? Let's fast forward to after everyone left the waterfall. We know Brian Albert, Nicole, and Caitlin couldn't have arrived home all at once. I still think the two Brians got there first. Brian Albert made a big deal out of Higgins arriving there first and having the Jeep with the plow. During his testimony, he slipped and he said truck. Now, we all know there was no magic Jeep parked at the mailbox. I think the Jeep wasn't there at all. A Jeep with a big old plow on it is pretty noticeable, but nobody noticed it. So did Higgins have his Jeep that night at all? Or his personal truck? Or his work truck? He says he dropped off his work truck before going to the waterfall. Did he go into the building to drop off the keys? Is there a key swipe record of that? The defense has not challenged this, so maybe he really did. I know that where I worked, there were surveillance cameras on our personal vehicles at the station, and it sounds like this lot didn't separate work and personal, but I don't know that for sure. Anyway, is there video showing he was driving the Jeep that night and the next day? Higgins said he got to Fairview at the same time as Brian and Nicole, but never saw Colin, even though Colin was there, according to Nicole and Brian. Video from the waterfall has Brian still there at around midnight. Higgins said he left Fairview at 12:30 or 1 a.m. And when he testified to that, I thought, wow, that is an awfully short period of time. In other testimony, he said he made a beeline out of there. And that word beeline has my attention. His explanation was that he wanted to get home. It was a long day. It was tired. He just wanted to get home. But what he did was go to the police station. He arrived at the police station at 1:27 a.m. But even if he left Fairview at 1 a.m., the station is only a 4 or 5 minute drive. So where did he go? While looking at the map, I noticed that even though it's only a 4-minute drive, it's a 30-minute walk. The walk to the waterfall from Fairview is 38 minutes. If he walked to the station, the times would be right. I'm not saying that's what happened, just looking at possibilities. Just because you keep hearing about a Jeep being there doesn't mean the Jeep was there. And you know, there's so much that doesn't make sense in this case, and I get really irritated when things don't make sense. Given there's no reliable evidence that the Jeep with the plow was even there, why lie about it? I'd previously speculated on the fact that Caitlin had a white Jeep and maybe somebody was hoping that one vehicle might be mistaken for another by potential witnesses. I don't know what the reason is. I think it's more than what I previously speculated about. And there's something else besides the magic Jeep and how everybody parked on the left and why they would lie about who went with whom to the waterfall that bothers me. And that's the timing of the SUV. Julie Nagel texted her brother at 12:15 for a ride. There was testimony that made it sound like Jen told Julie at 12:15 she'd give her a ride home if she wanted to stay. And this confused me at the time. I thought I'd heard it wrong or misunderstood. And 12:15 was supposedly around the time Karen dropped off John, and supposedly around the time that there was a text from Jen to John that said here, and the phone calls, purportedly John asking for directions when John would not need directions. And it's all been bugging me, all of it. The timing is all off, and the reasoning is all off. Ryan Nagel testified he got the text from Julie at around 12:15, but he didn't go get her right away. He said he waited 40 minutes or so before heading over there from the hillside. That would put his arrival closer to 1 a.m. or even later. And even if his estimate is off, it still changes things. So if Karen's SUV was there at 12:45, 12:55 or later, why? I really hope we get extensive phone information, but I know I'm being overly optimistic. And why was it so important to say Higgins' Jeep was there at the same time the SUV was there? Could it be that they wanted to put Higgins and Karen there at the same time? I don't know. And Higgins said Brian Albert called him at 6:30 a.m. Jen McCabe went into the house at Fairview at 6:34 a.m. Now, the 4 minutes doesn't bother me. Witnesses get times a little wrong all the time. But how does Brian Albert call Higgins and explain to him what happened so quickly when first Jen had to explain, and then when Brian Albert got to the bottom of the stairs from his bedroom, the police were already standing inside. And Higgins said he went to Fairview in the morning right away, but Gallagher was there at 7 a.m. I didn't notice a Jeep with a plow on it show up there on Seraph's dash cam. Did it show up and I missed it? Because Higgins said he drove the Jeep all day on the 29th as well. And of course, we'll never know where Higgins went after he left the Canton police station in the wee hours. Did he go home? And there's something wrong with the timing of when Jen went into the house in the morning. I'm having an issue of not having enough hours in a day to be able to sit down and really examine things. I have no answers for you, just things I've noticed and thought I would share. Let me know what you think. Trust your gut. I'll see you in the comments.